You're listening to Music Mythology. My name is Sam Romo, and let's talk about some music. All right, man. I believe this is episode 13. It's good to see you, man.
Good to see you too, man.
Yeah, dude.
You look well. Your hair looks nice and strong. It's like a mane now.
Thanks. I don't know how long it's going to end up being, but we'll see how long it goes.
Oh, man. You talking about cutting it?
I don't know. We'll see.
Don't do it, man. Don't do it.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about it. And there's days when I don't mind it. And there's other days like today when I'm setting up a studio. It's all in my face.
Oh,
stuff.
yeah?
Yeah, but it is what it is.
Do your parents have real strong like hair genes?
I feel like my dad does.
What about your mom's side? Because I hear that's what it matters.
It's very straight hair. That's like I feel like that's it. The only descriptor I can give about that genetic.
But they still have their hair.
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah. You can trim it. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah, dude. I have a what is it? My father's uncle, so my great uncle to me, or what is that to me?
Great uncle?
Great uncle.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. He's like 80 and he has a full head of hair.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Perfect.
But we don't know if he's like secretly, doing something to keep
like
that
some Bosley.
Yeah.
Or some hair plugs.
It's my jeans.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's good to have you back.
Good to be back.
Yeah, and I'm excited about what you want to talk about because it's some new stuff, some unexpected news, and some the reopening, the regenesis of the music industry.
Time to carry back on to what we were all doing in March, early March of 2020. Yeah, man.
It's been weird.
Yes, it has, hasn't it? I did a show last night with some members from Artemis Funk. I did one. It was with Patrick Pombuena and Kwame Asibe on drums, and we invite because it's Patrick Pombuena's community orchestra, so he'll have me, a drummer, bass, guitarist. Sometimes he'll get up a keyboardist, a violinist, or something like that. So every time we get off stage, we'll have somebody talk to us and they say the same thing, and everybody's been saying the same thing. I'm so glad to see live music played in front of real people. And I never thought I'd hear that phrase, maybe like from somebody who got out of prison. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure that's gotta be surreal. I mean, just, I work down here in downtown and just being back down here and seeing all the restaurants and stuff back to normal, well, almost, everything eking along. It's just it's weird being in this phase where you have to, I mean, it's good to appreciate what you got, but it's just in this weird phase when like it's unpracticed, so it's like after a year it's like, I'm not numb to it, but it's kind of like weird. It's like even the customers that are coming back to me, because like we lost half of our market because of events. We do signs and graphics, and now it's starting to come back, and it's kind of surreal and this weird feeling of the satisfaction, I guess, of just not. I kind of threw away the thought of like, you know what, they're just gone. I'm not going to think about them, and when they come back, that's great. It is what it is. And now that they're back, it's just weird.
Do you? Because I've been having a hard time. Do you feel like the new scheduling with everything opening back up is kind of like a release of the floodgates, and you're like, oh my God, all this work now, versus like, oh, my 10th Netflix series, because I'm kind of light right now.
Yeah. Well, I with the vaccines, with the everybody, well, businesses included, phasing this stuff out and opening things up. It's just, I mean, everybody just seems happier, I mean, just like, I'm not as freaked out to go into crowds or like meet with people I haven't seen in a long time. It's just all, whichever side of the spectrum you were on about what you thought about, it doesn't matter anymore. We're on the end. I mean, it feels like that. And it's just satisfying, man. It just feels good like I said, I went to a record convention, it's like I wasn't there for very long. They still had rules where you had to be distance and wear masks and all that stuff, but it's like, it's the first event type thing I'd really even been to. I mean, I wasn't even there for very long, but it was just nice to interact with people. You know, I was networking for the show and just talking shop, talking music and stuff, and it is just awesome. I haven't interacted with a stranger like that in a long time.
Ah, the things we took for granted.
Yeah.
Yeah. All we needed to do was go through some nuclear winter holocaust for a week, and then then the Pfizer and the Moderna started just rolling on through. Fair Park got organized, and I hear they're shooting up like 1,000, 10,000 people at a time. It's beautiful. It's a little scary right now too, because we have been conditioned, even though for a short time we've been conditioned to socially distance and to have our masks on and make sure that you're washing your hands, which I'm glad people are washing their hands.
Yes.
As somebody that works at a bank, you wouldn't believe how many times I see people drive up and then like wipe their nose and then give me their stuff, and I have to tell my coworkers, yo, this guy wiped his nose. Y'all clean your hands.
Watch out for that bill.
Watch out for that bill. It's getting flashbacks. But yeah, man, it's it's a breath of fresh air. It's so perfectly timed. It's spring, this blossoming of new life and new energy kind of coming out. And I'm really thankful to have things kind of open up starting around this time, because it's a really beautiful time right now.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense. You get over the lull and the winter time where it's more likely to get sick and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's a beautiful coincidence, or not coincidence. I mean, it kind of makes sense, but it's awesome that it lines up. Everything's opening up. The new seasons of sports seasons are rolling out. The new it's just it's a new season. It's just I don't know, the whole year feels like a new season.
Yes.
Because it's not something you can really compare to anything. No one we'd never been stopped, or certain markets, certain businesses. There's never a decline, or just a freeze in the way that it had been. So yeah, I mean, this year I have very high expectations this year.
It's definitely it's like the second installment of the Roaring '20s,
Right.
Right. We're just kind of coming out of this Great Depression or Great Repression in a way, and then, man, I'm thrilled to see what happens coming up next. Obviously, people will still have their reservations when it comes to going out and going to experience a show.
Yeah.
But that, to me, is exciting too, because now you will open up 2 lanes of shows. You'll open up, obviously, a more exciting and more personable, catered to live show where people can feel safe in public. I believe things like plastic domes will be built for individuals or couples to enjoy their show. Or you can go the at-home route, and with the way certain companies have been working with technology, VR has been booming.
Oh yeah.
Ever since, and having a nice VR virtual experience concert in your living room.
Yeah.
That you pay like $40-$55 for, and you get to sit down and feel as if you're right on the front row.
Yeah. Well, I've been waiting for that to become a bigger thing than it now. It makes sense. I mean, like we said, it's been a great avenue for artists to reconnect and for their crowds to follow them and experience them still. But I remember trying to think of what year it was. It was like 2000. That album "Awaken My Love." By Childish Gambino.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember when that came out. It's like 2015 or 16. Maybe it was 16. But anyways, when he released the vinyl, he released it with a headset. And then if you download, what's the app called? The Pharaohs app, which is his app, then you could experience one of his Awaken My Love tour concerts.
Whoa.
And they did After Effects on it. So it's like you're watching him and he's on a stage, you're at the front row. And then at the same time, if you look up, there's like Aurora Borealises, which is totally not there, and crazy, looking space creatures and weird tribal figures, and it's just people just walking over the crowds, and it's just crazy looking. And it was such an experience. I mean, me and my wife, we were blown away when we tried it out. Cause we're like, wow, this is nuts. Cause you just put your earphones in, pop that sucker on, and you're there.
Yeah, you're there.
Yeah, and then and it was live footage too. So it's like when you look over to your right, there's that big fan just leaning over the guardrail, just freaking out the whole time, and the person on the left who's singing every word. It's just interesting. And I was like, wow, this is such a unique experience. And to take one of those VR or 360 cameras and just position it right there and just capture. I mean, I imagine it'd be relatively I don't want to say easy, but doable, especially for an artist that likes to connect with their following, with their audience so much.
If Google can put a camera on top of cars and drive them across the country and get a nice accurate viewing for the maps, I think it's definitely doable for that kind of platform. But man, sometimes people come up with things and you're like, man, why didn't I think of that? 'Cause it's such a good idea.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with great lyrics. Have you ever listened to Daniel Caesar?
Oh yeah.
So of course, every time he writes a song, or you got Best Part or Get You.
Yeah, Get You.
And you're listening, you're like, wow, this guy just took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah.
And I should have wrote this song because I say these words all the time, in passing and yada yada.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's a great idea. What a great album to have that for too.
Oh yeah.
Seems like such a visually stimulating and eccentric kind of album to put people through, especially if you're kind of into that Parliament and Funk psychedelic kind of vibe.
Oh, big time. Well, that's why I was so excited about that album.
Yeah.
When they released Me and Your Mama was the first single. That was so good.
First track of the album. That's my favorite track too.
Yeah. Oh man, that one's awesome. That one and Stand Tall. What's the other? There's another song. But man, that's just an awesome album. I love that album. And so when that vinyl came out with the headset, I was all over it. And I've just been kind of surprised that not more people have done that. That release vinyl and then release a VR accompanying concert to go with it. Because I don't know, that was such an experience. From being an appreciator of the album and then being able to experience the concert. Wow, just straight from the album. It's it's just it's a good concession, or it's a good second place prize if I could never see them, especially if it's someone like that. If it was because I'm trying to think of even old concerts, which I'm sure the tech wouldn't really be there, but if you start now, and start documenting stuff in a VR form,
right?
And then I'm thinking about people that do this with normal live albums, like Neil Young. He's recorded so many live sets, but he hasn't released them all. And so he releases them at random times. It's I think last year he released one from the late 70s. That was an acoustic set. And then just a month or two ago, he released one from the early 90s. So it's all different lineups of people he's playing with, but it's just been sitting in the vault. But what if you sit on a bunch of VR concerts, and then 20 years from now, when George Clinton dies or whoever, then you can jump right into a real concert that he threw on, and you can experience it right then and there.
They have those services where you can you can watch all these televised events from the 40s and 50s. For jazz you can pay a fee. I'm pretty sure the same thing for rock concerts. So yeah, I could see that being some kind of almost like a Disney Plus service where you pay $14.95 a month, and you get to just stream whatever concert you want from whatever artist from whatever year, as long as you have a VR headset.
Yeah, because if I'm just thinking, if a production company could really get that process down and really streamline it, you could tag along with someone. I would stick with like Gambino or Travis Scott. Anybody. It's a big name, especially has the budget. Have that team just be set in the front. They record every concert, but probably maybe the exciting, the weird ones. Here's Coachella 2012, and here's where he played in France, and here just unique places and clubs and stuff, small, intimate, random, pop-up shows or whatever. But I just feel like people buy into that,
right?
Because especially the hardcore fans, I was saying, if it's someone that never tours, because I remember we said this multiple times that whenever Gambino would tour again, we would try and get some damn good tickets,
right?
Because he never toured, and if he did, he never came down here. The last time he was in Dallas was on his very first tour or something like that, and it's 7 years ago or something like that, And so when he came down here for Awaken My Love, we were all over it. But if he never did that, and an opportunity to buy a VR concert, I probably would have done it.
I never even imagined Childish Gambino would come out to Dallas. I thought he would always just stop in Austin and be like, oh, there's my Texas run right there. That's good enough. Maybe H-Town because Beyonce's from there. He's like, oh, okay.
Maybe he knew he could fill American Airlines Center. I'm sure that pays out.
Oh, I'm sure that pays quite a bit.
That was a crazy show. We actually ended up being the unexpected last show of the tour because he broke his foot.
Ooh.
And so, he's jiving and dancing and he's all over the stage. I mean, it's a huge stage. And at one point he even walks, off into the crowd, walks out into the the layers or the levels of AAC.
Oh, nice.
And so he walks around to the other side and then comes back to the other crowd and he's like singing and dancing and everything. And then when he gets up, I forget what song he was doing, and pulls some great moves, but then eventually he does slides or twirls, and then he lays on the ground for a second and he keeps singing. He's killer, voice is killer, but he's just laying there, and we're like, okay, maybe that's just his, Marvin Gaye thing, just laying down and singing. But then now he just stayed laying there
for the rest of the concert,
for the rest of the song.
Oh, and
then you can kind of tell when the music kept going, he kind of got up and the lights went out, and they're like, that's it. What? No. This is unfortunate. And then I think it was the next day that they tweeted Dallas ended up being the end of the tour unexpectedly, and then he eventually picked it up and did the last 6 or 8 cities that he missed half a year later or something like that. But that was wild because we're like, damn it, he definitely had another half hour.
Oh my God, JFK, Childish Gambino's foot. Jeez, Dallas. Come on, Dallas. ERCOT. What's going on here? This is a sign.
Yeah.
Speaking of Dallas or speaking of Texas, a lot of people from California are moving here.
Oh yeah.
Which is also getting me. So it's making me a little nervous, but also getting me a little excited. Nervous because everything's getting pricier, everything's getting more expensive, everything's getting harder to actually participate in and get with. I even hear Duncanville's getting expensive now to live out there. Yeah, the real estate is piling up. I did talk to somebody and they were like, oh well, my tire got jacked off my car. So I was like, oh, good old Duncanville.
It's a slow climb.
It's a slow climb. They're also doing street races on Camp Wisdom. So yeah.
Oh, classic.
Yeah, classic. But at the same time, all that talent, knowledge, and go-to attitude, and kind of this liberalism taking Texas by storm a little bit, giving it more of a center view, and hopefully we can all share in that knowledge when it comes to the music industry and entertainment industry. I'm hoping that there will be a huge boom and Texas will join the ranks. Texas in general will join the ranks of Atlanta, Nashville, LA, New York, Detroit. When it comes to music, I'm tired of seeing Texas have all this talent here and nobody who knows how to cultivate it and put it out there for the rest of the world to enjoy. So it'll be nice to see what happens in the next couple years to 5 years.
Yeah, because it's because I think of Austin. It's you think of Austin. I mean, that's really it. The music, central or whatever. And I mean, I'm sure ACL has helped. Having a major festival that's nothing but growing, and it's was it 25 years old now or something like that?
What, ACL?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
South by.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, that city's crazy.
Yes.
I mean, it's an awesome city with so much variety, so much vibrance, and just art and culture, and any tangent you want to jump down. And it's crazy, and it's I mean, it's beautiful. We love going down there, and if that type of stuff can expand, into Dallas, that's awesome, because my favorite places in Dallas are kind of the places that are reflective of Austin anyways.
Oh, okay.
Bishop Arts District,
okay.
and Deep Ellum, and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I'm really looking forward to the new wave of artists, because I don't know if I've been seeing it from Pitchfork and Rolling Stone and stuff in the last month or so. The numbers are coming out from the last year's sales, and audio equipment and audio recording equipment has been the largest year ever. It was 4 point something billion. It was just outrageous. And yeah, I was like, I'm sure it's like this, all these people with all this time and just stuck, having to work on something. It's like, I'm finally gonna work on my music. I'm gonna work on all this stuff. So I'm very excited, like we said, this year of everything opening up, getting back into the flow of things, people being, appreciative of things coming back. But there's going to be a lot of new things, coming in with it, with that tide. And yeah, it's going to be awesome. I mean, I really look forward to, and with the show, I mean, I want to try and keep up with it. It's like keep up with the new people that are going to grow, keep up with the new, with the smaller venues that are just starting. Because, last year affected a lot of venues. Like there was a comedy club in Deep Ellum that I think might be closing now. I saw like a for lease sign up, and like that, I think it just opened right before COVID. So it's like there's that weird turnover that we're going through, or seeing who survived, who made it, and who was careful, and who had the right conversations with their landlord. But it's just interesting, and I'm just nothing but excited. Like I feel nothing but an expectation of positive things or growth in culture when it comes to music in any city, but particularly Dallas. I mean, I'm just excited. I mean, I live here, so
yeah, we live here, and we're not going anywhere soon. So, speaking of exciting new music, Anderson .Paak, Bruno Mars, making an album, showing their stuff at the Grammys. Man, I didn't know I needed this album until they said they were doing one together, and I was like, great, I can retire. I don't have to do anything anymore. These two have it covered. I'm good to go. So I mean, it's a beautiful time, as well as we're still reflecting on the people that we lost. We lost a jazz great recently, Chick Corea.
Oh yeah,
and that was, oh man,
he's on that album.
Yeah, he sure is. This album right here is Miles Davis in a Silent Way, given to me by Mr. Sam Romo. Thank you very much.
Yeah, of course.
But
it's one of my favorites.
Man, we lost some great ones. Wynton Marsalis lost his father. The Dallas Symphony Orchestra lost their principal trumpet, which was one of my biggest inspirations, Mr. Ryan Anthony, rest in peace. He had a long battle with bone marrow cancer, I believe.
Oh, wow.
Maybe 5 or 6 years. He even started a concert series called Cancer Blows, where he would invite, these great brass players or jazz players to come out, and they would not only do concerts, they would do pre-concerts that people could sit in on, and then also they would do master classes you'd see UNT students, TCU, UTA, anybody who really wanted to get in on the ground floor and learn something.
What an experience.
Yeah, right? But we lost him, unfortunately. Duncanville lost a band director, George Townsend.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, that's crazy.
Right? It's wild.
What happened?
We're not sure.
Oh, okay. But wow.
Yeah.
Man, that's nuts.
Yeah. It's crazy. So it's a little bit of excitement. Obviously, there has been great new music on the Vanguard. Adele's coming out with a new album.
Oh, is
she? After not coming out with anything for 5 years. And it's also a time of reflection and mourning. We've lost the Titans, the people that we've grown up watching and thinking that were impenetrable, untouchable, invincible. But very, very exciting dynamics kind of going on. Silk Sonic sounds like it's gonna be a great duo. Leave the Door Open is a bop. Yeah. It is amazing. Out the gate, just stellar. It's creamy. It's like orange cream soda. It's amazing, and I love it. It's so good.
Yeah, it's like that perfect funky, like Curtis Mayfield, late 70s Michael Jackson like vibe. It's like awesome.
Yeah, it's like if Rock With You and gosh, it's like Rock With You but times 1,000, because I think Bruno Mars is just man, when he makes those ballads, it's really hard to contend with. And then obviously Anderson .Paak and his group of musicians are so tight.
Yeah, Free National.
Oh my gosh,
they're so good.
Is he? I don't even know if he's using. I don't think he's using all the Free Nationals. I think he's using a couple. But I think Bruno Mars has his people as well. Sure, yeah. So it's like this hodgepodge.
Yeah, because he tours with them though. Like, right when Pac does his own stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I really liked. Because because he did Oxnard, and then the exact year later was Ventura.
Yeah.
And it's like because I think it comes off this way, but like he explained like the Oxnard's kind of like the harder, more. Like, yeah, I mean, I think that's what he said. It's like the harder side, and then the Ventura is the more smoother side.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, I really liked Ventura. I mean, I like both, but I really liked Ventura, like with Smokey and Smokey Robinson. Who else was on?
That was the do you wanna make it better?
Yeah.
If you do, then let's please make some new memories. Yeah, that's
that's such a good one.
That's a great song.
That's so good. Man, what's the other song? Sorry, it's gonna kill me. I need it.
Don't let it kill you, man.
Because I was just listening to it.
By the way, this venue is beautiful. I love your home. Your home is also stellar as hell, but this is amazing. This is like vibes times 10. We are literally smack dab in the arts district right next to the Meyerson Symphony Center and the AT&T Opera House.
Yeah.
It is such a sight to be here.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
I feel, I'm very happy we were able to film here.
Wow. Is this like a regular thing for you?
I'm hoping so.
Yeah?
Yeah, my uncle owns this location, so and they're not open on the weekends, so, or at least right now. I think they have events and stuff, so I think it's one of those things where like as long as I can schedule ahead of them, maybe we'll see.
Man,
but I have a couple of other spots too. Like I'm looking at eventually doing some interviews on one of the stages at the Palladium at Gillies.
Mm-hmm.
They have multiple concert halls there. Everything from like large shows to small, more personal venues. So that's an option. But yeah, I'm excited because now I'm keeping up the videos, the video episodes. So I want to try and keep it interesting.
Yeah.
But this is a perfect spot. I love this spot.
And
yeah, we got our background and yeah, it's awesome.
It is awesome.
We're getting there.
Things are green. The
song was "Come Home" with Andre 3000.
Oh my gosh. Oh, he did it. What with Andre?
Mm-hmm.
Andre never comes out. That's crazy. Wow. I need to go back.
Yeah, I really like that album. That's what got me excited about Silk Sonic is because it's not like super similar. It's not like super in that funky vein, but he kind of is. I mean, Pac has that groove to him where it's like that, with this raspy, whether he's rapping or singing, it's like, and the instrumentals he chooses to use, it's like, yeah, it's kind of hard. It blurs those eras of the 70s current, it's like a good mix, a good mosh podge. But for Silk Sonic to focus in on that real funky, groovy stuff, it's like awesome. I just love it.
Leave the project to the drummer, I guess. Really, him being the main man, the front man, and the driving force behind the rhythm and the groove behind his music, really gives him the wheel. He truly has the wheel, because a lot of singers, you gotta stop, go back and if you ever sit, you're a musician, so you sat in on a rehearsal and you don't quite like what the drummer's doing. He's close and you're like, oh man, no, not the boom boom bap. I want you to do the bap bap boom, and then do the and you're like giving him all these sound effects to do, and he's just looking at you like, all right, man. I'm gonna try. At least our drummer does. But with him, it's like not only am I the painter, but I'm also the wood of the brush. Because I that's what I think a band is. Like the singer, the front man is just the painter. Obviously, the audience and the venue is the canvas, and the musicians are the paint, the actual head of the brush and the wood. And so you got the drummer, which is the wood, and he can guide the painting that he's making a lot easier now because he is both painter and the wood. He's like the first two pieces of the extension. You know? It's incredible, and his craftsmanship is very refreshing in this new age of music where, you don't see things like that as valued on a main stage as it used to be. It's more electronic. More people are using auto-tune, which is cool because those who didn't have that musical talent, initially can now express themselves and create something beautiful. But it is great to see somebody who has that organic talent and be pushed to the forefront, especially with an artist as consistent as Bruno Mars. So it's gonna be tight, man.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, anytime there's an artist that can pull off writing it, producing it, doing every bit, every instrument. I mean, like Tame Impala, Kevin Parker. I mean, like he does every single bit. It's crazy. Yeah, Beck, like Trenton Reznor. I mean, it's just like there's so many people that when you see that person, I mean, that's why a lot of their stuff really resonates with people, is because it's all them. They've got their vision, and like you said, you don't have to translate. You don't even have to juggle an ego, with your bandmate.
Yeah,
it's like it doesn't matter how the day is. It's kind of all on you, and that's what I think. That's also what introduces another level of making it so impressive, is because you've taken it all on yourself. It's if you mess up, it's all on you. But if you do it great, it's all it's on you. And like we talked about this in the last episode. I mean, it's kind of that weird feeling of being a musician or being a performer or the weird feeling of it being rewarding. I mean, of because you can't fake it. It's like you can't fake that you don't know it. You can't fake that you know that song, because once you're up there, you're gonna do it or you're not. And then especially when you're in the back room and you have time to produce it and you're the one running the idea.
Yeah,
it's like you've got to be experienced, well equipped, or you've got to be a master student. You have to be obsessed with wanting to learn how to do better and never just be okay with what you can do today. Because I mean, at least with me, it's like, especially with this last year of relearning how to record and do multi-track recording and setting up my studio in my home, and all of us are doing it. And when one group I have in my house and another group I'm going to start recording out in like Midlothian, and so it's like I'm trying to figure out how to make it mobile and get used to that. And like just even with this show, getting used to the ritual of setting the mics up, getting the systems up. It's just been a nice, because I don't want to call it like a hobby or something, because it's not a hobby. I'm taking it very serious, but it's something that I really appreciate, and
it's your craft.
And so but I've noticed, it getting easier. And so with the musicians that can do so much, and they're producing in the background and they come and they present it, it's crazy. It's immaculate sometimes, because they've done it. They've been able to show themselves off in a very complex way. And I keep getting stalled because I keep wanting to bring up how, like I don't remember who said it, but it's been said before that, a really good musician, or a staple of a good musician, is they can get along with others, and they can, they're just good communicators, but there's a good discipline, there's a good respect for the craft and for themselves and for their bandmates. And I don't know, I'm sure there's a lot of people that maybe have a really big ego and they can do every bit of everything and they're still excellent. But I think there's a different kind of energy to where if you can compose things, you can do things your own. Like that's what I meant. Like when you're a forever student, you're just obsessed with getting better. I just think there's a healthy, vibrant energy to that kind of creation. And I feel like when you get a really cool collaboration with like two artists that are such high energy people or such creative, interesting people, and you get them together and you make something like this Silk Sonic project, and it's like, what is that? That's awesome. It's like, that's so cool.
Why didn't we have this before? Where was this at?
Yeah, and it's two good people that are comfortable and they know what they're doing, and they can balance
and can talk to other people.
Yeah.
You see, a lot of times, those extremely prolific and talented musicians, sometimes they have the worst attitudes, and they're very hard to work with. Yeah. I know plenty of musicians who are absolutely stellar, great singers, great, instrumentalists in their own right. But they don't really work with anybody. They don't have a band. And because they don't have a band, they don't work with anybody. The work is slow. The gigs are dry. It's very important. You don't always have to be the best player, but being a really good hang outside of the stage is pivotal, because you won't, unless you're Miles Davis and you're messing with the greatest jazz musicians of the time, and you just want this great sextet or quintet, more times than not nowadays, it is very pivotal for us all to be on a really good page when we're not playing music. Also being on time. That's also very, very important. Yeah. Being on time, being cool.
Yeah. And taking it seriously.
Yeah. Take it seriously.
Yeah.
Having that jargon ingrained in you so that you don't have to always explain things in full detail. You can say things in 4 words instead of 20.
Right.
And I think that's also really cool when you think about it. It's like all these extremely dense concepts consolidated into a couple of words, or or even eye movements. Like
cues and stuff.
Cues, yeah. When Pat was playing last night, he called up a drummer, Mackenzie is his name, and he's great. And what I noticed about Mackenzie that really impressed me was how ready he was to end the song. Pat turned around, Pat's playing guitar and he's singing, and I'm playing horn, and we've never played with Mackenzie before. But Mackenzie was always on alert. No matter how into the music you thought he was always looking. He was looking like in front of him. It was like a 360 cam on this guy's head. And he was just, and Pat just gives he's ending the song as he's looking back, and it was a quick look back, and you don't realize Mackenzie has received this information until everything comes to a close properly and perfectly. And that's a beautiful sight. Or when the band does a hit all at the same time, and everybody, you do the hit, and then the singer goes back to doing their thing, and the other musicians like lay back in the cut. That's beautiful to see too. Everybody just a unit.
Yeah, and like that's one of my favorite things, because I love to jam like with any musician, but like with the groups I play with, and that's pivotal. Like especially when you get more practice and you're way more comfortable with each other, you learn the cues. I mean, when you want to take it seriously, you gotta communicate.
Right.
I mean, and that applies to anything.
Yes.
And so for something so volatile or so fragile as a jam, if you're not paying attention to what you're doing, if you're unpracticed, if you don't even know the scale that your counterpart's trying to play, whatever. But if you can learn how to communicate with each other for time, at least for timing purposes alone, just bob your head, all that's cool, and the eye contact and know who needs to focus on who to keep everything flowing all beautifully. It's been something that when I first started as a musician, it was just I wasn't thinking about that, because what we were talking about before is more ego. Because when you're less experienced, you have more ego tied into everything, and so you just feel like you're just so focused on what's hard right now. It's like, well, you could make it easier if you just could communicate a little bit more. I mean, again, that applies to a freaking things. But,
yes.
But when it comes to playing music with each other, I mean, that truthfully is one of the greatest things you could do as a musician, is just throw your ego out the freaking door and just tell them, like, I don't know what you're playing. Can you explain that to me?
Can you explain that?
It's like, or it's like, I'm trying to figure out when you're going to end that measure. It's like, but can you give me a signal? Can you give me one other thing? It's like, I'm trying to remember my thing, and you're playing your thing, and you keep changing it up, because you never know who you're playing with, and they might, well, the timing's the same. It's like, yeah, but you're doing it all on the hi-hat now.
Right.
Before, you're on the ride and you're over here, but where are you?
Yeah, feels different.
Yeah, but if you give them the cue to, like, when I'm looking you dead in the eye, that means we're about to wrap up or whatever. It's just, you feel so secure, and in the flow of the song, and whether what you're doing, or this is just a willy-nilly jam, we're just throwing it together. It's like, we could, as long as we're looking at each other and knowing when we're going to make the change together, it's like you could ride that wave for a minute.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, that's pivotal. But and I'm kind of curious, if with this delay, this year, I mean, a lot of artists have been active, but without the heavy touring schedules and stuff, I wonder, what crewmates and what bands will kind of change. It's like, maybe has this affected them, on their trajectory of anybody? I mean, who knows? I'm just very open-ended statement, but I'm just curious. I mean, because, like, what if there was like a band that had high success, but they were kind of on the ends, they weren't getting along together or whatever. I'm just curious, it's like, I wonder if this break has affected anybody in a weird way.
I can definitely tell you that in Arlington, the break has definitely affected quite a few bands in the Arlington area. I don't want to name any names, but there are a couple of bands that aren't bands anymore because of events that happened within 2020. What's the word? What's the phrase? Irreputable differences. I'm dumb, guys. But anyways, basically, they could not work out their whatever issues they had. Creative differences. Well, it was really, because it was a high political year in 2020. It was very political issues that people just could not get past or could not see eye to eye at all. So yeah, I think if it happens on a level where you live in the city and you see it happen, it's definitely happening all over the globe where rosters are changing, and the break allowed that step back that everybody, I guess, has been wanting, so that you can take care of those issues and rip off the Band-Aid and hopefully look towards the future a lot brighter, in a lot brighter way. But yeah, even, I won't say Artemis Funk is like changing their roster per se. I will say that Artemis Funk is exploring new ideas and new collaborations with a multitude of different people, rappers, other instrumentalists, singers, and I think 2020 really showed us all like what happens when you wait. This is what happens when you wait. You regret because something happens that you weren't expecting, and now you can't access that thing. You can't do that thing. You can't see that person anymore.
You thought that job was always going to be there. Yeah.
Gone.
Shake you up.
Yeah. And I think that was a good thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Because I mean, it's reality, right? I mean, it could have happened at any point with a different disease if it happens. I mean, it just is what it is. But it's just, I don't know. You got checked. Everybody got checked.
Hard.
You're like, oh, I don't want to live here. I don't want to live with this person. Now
I got to work here 8 hours a day. I got to look at my wall and my computer in the same place I hate 8 hours a day. I work from home now. It's what I always wanted, but not here.
Yeah, it's a total adjustment. Yeah. I mean, what is like in the immediate future for your group though?
Well, Artemis Funk is, we are in the process of writing and recording at the same time. We haven't booked any shows because half of our musicians are professional musicians. So half of us are booked. I mean, I'm going to New Mexico this month to go play a show. So we had to be very mindful and book ahead of time. So our first show is going to be April 30th at UTA. We're playing for this spring music festival. Nice. The gracious people at the Excel program that they have there are going to be hosting us, and quite a few other musicians and different artists for their spring festival. But also, we're planning on trying to make a huge splash in the summer. We're planning on dropping a song with an artist that, man, I mean, once it comes out, everybody will know. I don't want to say any names, but I'm extremely excited to get this project going. We also did a music conference in Philadelphia not too long ago. Well, it's Pennsylvania. It's a different part. But we did a music conference out there in Pennsylvania. We learned a lot. We learned a lot about getting songs onto movies and crowdfunding, copyright, and the history of what you would feel like would be copyright infringement. But really, there are some extremely similar musical premises all throughout history, from because they were showing us things like Stairway to Heaven, ding 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 ding, it's very famous. But then they were like, and then Bach, and then he's doing the same thing, and then he's like, and this and that and this, and they're all doing like the same openings, patterns, maybe in different keys, but it's the same, like minor third to perfect fifth, whatever. So we learned a lot at that conference. So we plan on using that knowledge to help us propel forward our career until the next music conference where we can learn even more. We would love to get into the, what we're trying to do is actually get our own generator so we can do pop-up shows in Arlington and kind of just pop-up shop, not have to depend on the city. Because what we've noticed is that the city classifies itself as a music-friendly city, right? Okay. But there are really weird outdoor sound laws. There are very strange busking rules. You can't, there aren't many venues in Arlington. And when there are venues, they're either bars or they're the big venues like Levitt Pavilion, which is an outside venue, which will not let you just post up and do a show there without paying a substantial amount of money to play there. And so we're trying to come up with solutions, not only for ourselves, but for the community, cost-effective solutions to be able to pop up shop and do your own shows right in Arlington, and we think it's important that we get some wealth for ourselves and spread that wealth amongst the community so that the community can grow, because we took a big hit in 2020. We had a lot of trajectory, a lot of momentum, a lot of things that didn't happen for decades were happening again for our generation of musicians in Arlington. And that kind of came to a pause once March 15th, March 16th of 2020 happened. So Artemis Funk is looking to revitalize that energy, move it forward, and hopefully help a lot of other people kind of achieve their goals and dreams within the music community, whether it's like to come out with a nice record, to actually perform with your own band or perform with your own DJ on a live show instead of doing open mics all the time. Trying to help ourselves and everybody receive that key for the next level. That's all we want.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So because I know, because I looked at y'all's page like on Apple Music and Spotify. I really like your last single, the Easy. Yeah, really
thank you.
Yeah, I love that one. So is that the last thing y'all have really worked on, like completely fleshed out, or do y'all have anything y'all are like any singles or anything that you're focusing on, or are you focusing more on like collaborations and like an album or anything like that?
Well, the funny thing about it is that we have plenty of songs that were written and performed live at the same time as Easy was all fleshed out, right? So we have already fleshed out music that has just not been recorded.
Gotcha.
Or at least it just hasn't been recorded. And then we have new songs that haven't even been performed for the public that have been in the pipeline for some time. The collaborations are actually being added to those songs that have already been pretty fleshed out. And then we have some music that have halfway been fleshed out. They haven't really been performed with full band for the public, but they've been performed maybe with Quinn and I, who Quinn is the rhythm guitarist and main composer for the group, or Pat and Quinn, which Pat is the other front man, and Quinn, obviously. And then our bassist, Max, has had a few new tunes. We added a trombonist, Reggie, who is a brilliant horn line writer. So, our horn lines, our flash, our pizzazz is going to be coming alive more in this project. But yes, the collabs, the things already pretty ready to roll out, the things that are still in the pipeline that haven't been fully worked out, all of these are being focused on. And we have to take our time because you don't want to get too excited with these new songs and then rush them, and then they're sloppy and you have to go through this whole process like we did for the first project, where, when we wrote Feelings, that was even Easy. Feelings and Easy were really rough because they were put out to the public very early without being fully fleshed out. Feelings took about 4 or 5 performances to actually get correct. And in between those performances, we decided not to do feelings for a while. You know, after Valentine's Day, we didn't do feelings for a minute. And Easy, we actually played out in Dallas at the Four Corners Brewery for the first time as an encore.
Okay.
And it was just kind of like awkward and a little weird. You know, people wanted an encore. That was the only other song that we had that we were working on. And that took a minute, but we kept playing Easy. We stopped playing feelings for a long time.
Okay.
Because I decided I don't want to sing feelings until we got it all packed up.
More fleshed out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I really like Easy. I'm trying to think. There's another song off of the album, Maze.
Yeah,
like
good
that
old
one.
Pat.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah,
It's one of my favorites.
yeah. So where have y'all played at here locally?
In Dallas, correct? Okay,
Yes.
so we have played at the Three Links. We have played at what's that piano bar in Deep Ellum? We played a lot of Deep Ellum.
Okay. I know which one you're talking about. I can't remember the name of it.
Right, but it's on the corner of Elm Street. We are working on playing at the Freeman Cafe, which will be great because I love their food, and they have the best musicians in DFW coming through there. Dave Chappelle walked in there one night and just was watching people. You know, he's cool with Erica. And where else have we played? Dallas. Four Corners Brewery. So not much in Dallas. We played about 3 venues. In Fort Worth, we've played a lot more venues. Arlington, we've played a lot more venues. And, you know, we'll have independent stops like we played a venue out in Rockwall and a venue out in Haltom, which is Haltom City Theater. So right now we're actually focused on getting our first show in Austin. We're trying to do a full weekend of shows, you know, 3 shows, full lineups. And, you know, you don't want to go out there, play a show in Austin, probably get a little turnt and then have to drive back. So we're trying to set that up so where we enjoy our weekend out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, everything's looking like a good time. I'm more than willing, more than excited to play out in Dallas. I would love to play more than just Deep Ellum, but if Deep Ellum's like, yo, come back, we'll definitely come back. Oh, and the Deep Ellum Art Co. The art company.
Yeah. I'm hoping we can flesh some stuff out so we can play there at some point.
Man, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Have you guys?
We've been there. I mean, we've gone to shows and stuff.
What about played any venues?
No, I mean we've played because we don't have stuff super fleshed out. And we've played for parties and stuff like that, and that's about it.
Now tell me the name of your band again.
The Mind Canaries.
The Mind Canaries.
Yeah,
that's a good name.
Thanks.
That's a really good name.
But yeah, I'm excited. I've actually the last guy I had on my show, Kevin Davis. He's a local musician and songwriter, and he's the dude's sitting on 100 songs, and he's a really good singer songwriter, and he needs a producer and a drummer, and I was like, that's me, man. So we've been talking a lot more. So I think this year we're gonna try and bang some stuff out, and so I'm just trying to go full fledged. Just anybody that wants to collaborate. It's whether I'm Sam or the Mind Canary guy or what. I'm just gonna go for it. You know, it's because it's like we were saying before. It's I just want to throw the ego away and practice. You know? And if it's good, awesome. If it's bad, cool. I just need to remember what I did wrong.
Perfect. If it burns, it's working.
Yeah. Just don't burn me up.
Yeah, burn me up.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, yeah, I'm excited, man. Just like I said, there's so much stuff this year. Even if I wasn't doing any of this, even if I wasn't trying to record and write stuff, if I wasn't doing the show, it's I would just even from my immediate job, it's just nice to have events coming back and stuff to be back in the normal land. but for
whatever that means, you know,
that's relative.
Yeah, right.
But to have opportunities for the show to meet more people, and as a musician, meet more people. I mean, me reconnecting, it's been awesome, and just to learn more from more people. Like I said, I want to be a forever student. that's all this show is me being curious, and whether we're reviewing an album and I want to brush up on it and really enjoy it, really take it under the microscope and make sure I'm appreciating every inch of what made it what it is, or just touching base with the current artist, like what we're talking about right now. What's the plan? Where is your head at? Especially with the weird state we're in,
right?
Of like, how do you feel? What is it like to be that this is a part of your life cycle? And it's like, how does this feel to get it back? And like what you're saying too, because I mean, you're also in a very genuine, you're in a very real scenario where you had momentum, and then COVID kind of just knocked the wind out of you. So, I mean, I'm excited for y'all, because I mean, y'all have good stuff.
Thank you.
And it sounds like y'all are, dedicated and still determined and still excited. I mean, that's all you need.
All musicians are a little stubborn, man. We're all stubborn, and I love it. I love the hard-headedness that we all seem to have. I think it's beautiful, and being part of this state, which is the hard-headed state, the most hard-headed, most vanguard. We're Texas. You can't tell us what to do. You can't take our guns.
Don't mess with Texas.
Don't mess with Texas. You can come here, but you're gonna be us instead of you're not gonna be a visitor. You're gonna be us. I love it. I love the attitude. I think it embodies. Some parts. I think some parts embody the musician's spirit, and you can't keep us down for long, even if it's a pandemic. I think eventually we would have just done shows in hazmat suits.
Well, I think that's yeah, right. Yeah. Well, and I think that's what makes artists and musicians so appealing to anybody, any human, is because you're pushing yourself. You went out and did it. You have works. You've done it. You have something to show. And it's admirable, in a very genuine way. I mean, especially when you're a huge music hit. I mean, because whether you realize it or not, it's like, I buy their shirts, I'll buy their albums, whatever. It's like, even if you don't realize that you're literally supporting these people, and it's like it's connecting with you, and it's just awesome to have that back. Because I mean, I can't wait to be at a full-fledged concert again, with no rules.
Do you think you'll be comfortable, standing shoulder to shoulder in a sweaty environment like you were in like 2010 or 2011?
Maybe, like once I'm vaccinated and it's like post-summer, maybe. I don't know. Just give it some time for the real dummies to do something.
I need somebody to cough on me. just go ahead, cough on me now. Get it over with. And
well, you've had that, right?
Yeah, I did have COVID.
But
not fun.
Yeah.
Not fun.
But no, I mean, I can't wait. I mean, any length of it. I mean, going to a grassy hill and sitting on a blanket watching someone that I paid, because I couldn't afford the better tickets. It's like, whether it's that or like mosh pit or right up at the front and can't hear anything after the concert because how close we were with speakers. It's like, it hasn't happened in so long.
All our ears are fresh. They're working.
Yeah. Well, I feel like my practices have kind of not kept that away.
Oh yeah.
At times. But no. But it's I'm elated, man. I mean, it's been awesome, and it's also pushed me. I mean, this show too, to learn more about local artists, learn more, and all sorts of facets of any form of music, but also just. There's not the availability, but if I have the want, it's like we're about to get vaccinated, and then if because I think there's shows now like at the Granada, like very small, limited capacity, but it's like there's I was just looking at their calendar, like just out of curiosity. I was like, oh, look at all these, just the tribute bands even. And I was like, never thought there would be a tribute band that focuses on just that era of Bowie or anybody. You could anybody that I was looking at, like Dave Matthews Band or anybody like that. I was like, that's cool. I just wasn't thinking about that. But it's like, if I'm desperate, it's like I'm not going to say like I'm desperate, but it's like now it's opened up a different gate of appreciation. It's like just like I don't have to be familiar with them. Just jump into it, which I mean, I used to be like that more, I guess, when I was a little bit younger. In the last few years, I guess, because, I'm working and stuff, I've been more careful about, like the bigger shows, going to the ones I've always wanted to go. I just never had the money. So I've been focused on that. But it's like this year or this last year, I feel like it's kind of reset me a little bit in my ways of like, that'd be cool. It's like, but now I also want to not make sure I'm supporting these people, but also just to have the awareness and just be active in that form,
I definitely want to go to Burning Man this year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I want to go out there in the desert. I have asthma, so I'm trying to like do all my research, kind of get some face masks to block the dust from my lungs. But I'm trying to get out there and to support and to see and to hear some things too, man. By the way, so do you have like an anniversary goal for your show? Is there an episode that you're like, yo, this is a staple right here, we need to do something big or have a party or something? And what is that? Does that look like anything in your mind? Maybe show 50, show 100?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, maybe like 25.
25 be dope.
That'd be a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe when I get my first sponsor.
Sponsor this man, y'all. He's got the space, he's got the face, he's got everything. He's got it all.
It's my marketing manager. Yeah. But no, yeah, I should think about that because I mean that's good to pull in people. And like I said, I mean this year I want to do a lot of things. I mean it's the beginning of the show still. We're in the very early days, but I want to do like giveaways. I want to do live streams of like my band or like guests. It's like you come on. It's like it'd be awesome to coordinate like you come on or your whole band or or if you agree on like two people that wanted to speak and then after the show do a set or whatever. It's like I want to add on the new, just take it away from just being a talk show and really add some layers to it. So there's more variety, and then if I can get a couple of sponsors and turn this into my career, I just have more time to throw into it and more content to generate. Because that's the only thing right now, with balancing one band, really two bands, and a potential third collaboration, my 9-to-5 job, and then this show, which I'm the editor and chief everything. There's just times where I get a little frustrated because I just feel like, man, I wish I could put more time into it, but it's like I am
right.
I'm being careful, I'm being disciplined, I'm making good decisions. It's just my dreams are still just massive and weighing on me, and it's just, if anything, that's fine because that means I'm still hungry. And it still is like I feel like there's still something missing. There's still something to do. So I mean, I'm very excited. I just, like I said, I'm a paranoid person, so I just want to make sure I'm doing all the right things. I
understand, man. And I'm really bad at this, but I have to constantly remind myself, like, yo, man, you're still young. You're still in your 20s. We have achieved careers and musical goals and done things that most people in their 20s, they get on Instagram and they're like, man, if only I would do this or I could do this. And we're doing it, man. And I think that deserves some very light, very small but consistent amount of praise for yourself.
Yeah.
Is that like, yeah, you are doing it. Yes, you are putting in the time.
Yeah.
And yes, you are young and still doing it and still not burnt out and still hungry. So yeah, it's beautiful, man.
Well, and speaking of that, we were talking about artists that we've lost recently, and I think it was yesterday, day prior, that was the 1-year anniversary when we lost Bill Withers, which is one of my personal favorites.
Oh my God, oh man.
That was,
wow.
That hit me hard. And because I'm a huge Bill Withers fan. I mean, his music has always been around, whether just on the radio and films and stuff like that. But I mean, I have family members and even teachers that would play his music around me all the time. As a young person, like I grew up with a lot of his catalog and kind of forgot, for a few years when I turned into a teenager and wanted to, do my own thing and listen to this and what's Rage Against the Machine and and just go off into all sorts of other musical tangents. And then there was a year, I think it was like my junior year or my senior year in high school, where the song Use Me came on. And I was like, oh my God, I haven't heard this song in forever. And then I just went on a deep dive, and I'm pretty sure I listened to one of his albums like at least once a week, like for these last 10 years. Like,
oh man,
it's just, I mean, Still Bill, Just As I Am. I mean, any of his albums, man. I love his music. And that's a man who didn't start his craft until he was in his early 30s. And he had been a factory worker. He was in the army. He didn't fit the bill of a musician, all through his 20s. And then he got really inspired and really wanted to write poetry and convert it into the gospel, beautiful, soulful, music that he really appreciated.
Yeah.
And then he freaking did it, man.
A lot of genre blending with Bill.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, a lot of genre blending.
And one really cool thing that I didn't know either, because I read this little background article that Rolling Stone did about his early days, was when he did Just As I Am, his first album, which I think me and my dad might be reviewing that album here pretty soon.
Tightness.
Yeah, I'm excited because that's such a good album. But when he did that and he was in the studio recording it, doing retakes, and it's a multi-chamber studio. So you have Graham Nash was there, Stephen Stills was there, and in fact Stephen Stills eventually became the session guitarist for that whole album, or a majority of it. I don't think that was planned, and it literally happened because they were there and they just started admiring. They were paying attention to his practice and his execution, and they were listening to what he wrote, and were just blown away. But then when they talked to him, Bill was just, thank you, thank you. And then I think it was Graham Nash, like, dude, you don't know how good you are. Like they were they felt like they were the small man in the room, because he was just a force.
Yeah.
But yeah,
just so chill and just trying to do his own thing.
Yeah.
Put his ego aside and then left it at the door, or left it wherever he was stationed in the army, and became a force of nature in music.
Yeah.
Unfuckwittable.
Yeah.
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 Definition. Wow.
With 2 T's.
Rest in peace, Bill.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You ever heard the song Soul Shadow?
I don't think so. Or at least I don't think I know it by name.
It's because he did like a random features with people, and I don't think some of them weren't labeled for years, like the Grover Washington one. Like I don't think he was labeled originally. I could be wrong, but I think I remember that like he wasn't credited at first, and then like they reissued it, and then he was. And with Soul Shadows, I think it's with the Crusaders. It's a soul funk group, and like I'm big fan of his, and like all the streaming sites, like they never had that song posted, and then one day I found it recently. It's a really cool song.
Did you find it on YouTube?
No, I found it on Apple Music or Spotify or something, but it was like through some weird avenue. Like I was on some weird fusion playlist, or something, and then it popped up, and I was like, is that Bill Withers? And then because you can't, it's an undeniable voice. And then I looked it up, and I was like, oh shit, featuring Bill. Wow. Good old Bill.
Good old Bill Withers.
Man, so good.
But it's under the Crusaders name.
Yeah. Yeah, so
okay.
Because that's why I never found it. But it's a really good song, and I think they just released his estate or whatever, released a new like greatest hits of his, and they included that one on it.
Tight.
And I think that might be the thing, like that greatest hits was on this playlist or something like that. Some weird thing brought it back into the music universe. Good. I don't know. But anyways, that's a really cool song. If you like him, I think you would dig that.
Bro, I'm gonna listen to Bill Withers as I'm customizing my new apartment. So,
there you go. Man, that's good wholesome music.
Yeah. Now, and also I need to so I have crates for my records, but now I need an actual like record stand, because I have so many. I have close to 200 now.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, and so
I wonder if I have that many. You think?
I'm pretty sure
I think I might.
You're pretty close. Yeah. if you're not there, then you really close. Because I did see your record collection. I low key got I got jealous. I was like, okay, got his house, got his home. Excuse me, got his home, got his record collection. It's beautiful. It's all great. But yeah, I need to set myself up with some Bill Withers records.
They're hard to find.
Are they?
I don't have one. I have a greatest hits that's like from the 80s and it's scratched up to hell. It doesn't even work.
Where do you go to look?
My favorite record store is Josie Records in Irving. Technically
it's
Irving.
right off of
it's like 8 minutes from you. Yeah.
It's close.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
And they recently acquired Bill's Records.
Okay.
They expanded, so it's like twice as big, and they have all the stock from Bill's, so it's a lot of stuff.
Bill's Records from
Dallas, right over here.
That's the one right next to what's that place called? Because you can rent rooms there.
Don't know.
He was real old.
Oh yeah,
old white dude.
Yeah.
Who smokes cigars.
Sick, huh?
Man, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So his stuff was acquired.
Yeah.
Did he pass?
I don't think so. I don't know.
Gosh, he had everything.
Oh yeah. Well, it was a crazy place. I mean, I only gone there a couple of times, but
Right.
it's one of those places where. That's why I want to interview record store owners and managers and stuff, because some of those people are they're a library, like in and of themselves. Like they're like a music knowledge force sometimes. Like it's crazy. But like, yeah, I remember like going in there, and I mean, I had a friend of mine tell me that he remembers this too, that you could go in there and you'd be like, hey, I'm looking for Chick Corea is looking for like, I can't think of an album, but it's you give him some random album or tell him like a variant of that album. He's like, oh yeah, it's 4 lanes down, 6 boxes over to the back, far back. And we're like, dang, like Rolodex or
Yeah, all in there. No
system.
matter how old he was just like, it was like instant.
That's crazy.
It's because he probably didn't smoke weed. That's his thing. You keep
the nicotine kept him sharp.
Yeah, keeps you sharp. If because I don't really smoke cigarettes, but when I do, that's usually when my songwriting is very good. It's very sharp. The ideas come out really fresh. Yeah, it's crazy.
I think about that like in the old days. I mean, the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. I think of all the documentary series or artists that I've watched the most stuff of, just because of growing up with it with my parents, it's the Beatles. I've seen the most, like background stuff and all, just because it's always been around me. I've always been into it. And there's new stuff coming out in these last few years, like with all the anniversaries of things. And yeah, it's just nuts. I mean, you're literally looking at like the documentation of like the day that you have Paul McCartney singing like a crazy song, like "She's Leaving Home," or I don't know. That's a beautiful vocal, and the dude is like just chain smoking like the whole time, and it's just crazy. Like they're in there knocking out their work, and they just talk about how constantly they were smoking. It's just like. Yeah, it just blows my mind.
Kind of keeps you mellowed out when things are getting intense. I mean, I guess that's why people take those 15-minute smoke breaks. But I couldn't imagine like Wednesday morning at 5 o'clock and just like smoking this cigarette and then going back to this beautiful ballad. I don't even know what instrument. Whatever is in the beginning. I think it might be a harp. It's beautiful. Oh, that's a beautiful track. But even if you watch when who was it? Duke Ellington did the collaboration with Frank Sinatra. Like they're both smoking cigarettes. Miles, he's smoking cigarettes while he's doing Sketches of Spain, or when he's doing the Porgy and Bess interpretation. Tons of cigarettes. So yeah, when I want to write really well, if I don't have to, I won't, because cigarettes they hurt my lungs so bad. It's awful. But if I want to write a song and I really need to bust it out, then it gives you a nice little some cigarettes, some coffee, just like Otis Redding said, and you're on the go.
Yeah, it's very interesting because like I'm like that with editing, and I mean anything. I mean like any craft. It's like it's interesting how that can kind of like line you up a little bit.
Nice, yeah, line you up right now. Nice, you're good. For 15 minutes, and then you need to go smoke another one.
But it's no wonder. I mean, when you look at some of those old school performers, and you realize, like, man, that's why you can't keep up with yourself. You can't keep up with the ghosts of your past because you smoked it away.
I watched the Beach Boys. Well, they're not the Beach Boys anymore. It's Brian.
Brian Wilson.
Yeah, it's Brian Wilson. But there's a member. He's a short dude. I can't remember his name. But Brian Wilson, he can't do much anymore. He can't dance. He can't he would just sat at the piano and played, and he would kind of sing, but not really sing. But this other guy, he killer. One of the original Beach Boys, killer singer, still killing it. And I was dating somebody at the time who I took to go see them because I didn't have any interest in the Beach Boys until I had heard. It wasn't Pet Sounds first. It was another album, but I can't remember. By then I heard Pet Sounds. Was like, this is stellar. Apparently he was the least drug afflicted. He didn't really smoke cigarettes. He stayed healthy and was able to get up and perform and sing a killer concert as if he was, in his 30s, 40s. And this is a man in his 60s, 70s.
Wow.
He's killing it.
That is interesting because I'm trying to think of I saw Tom Petty and he was frozen and he was he didn't move and his voice was all right, but he didn't have to he's not hitting any crazy stuff too often. But because I saw him a couple of years before he passed, and I just remember thinking about that. It's man, here's an old rocker who's been through it.
Yeah.
And it's
oh my God.
He won't back down, but he's still there.
Who? Osborne, Ozzy.
Oh yeah,
man,
he just came out with a new album a year or two ago.
But he still sounds amazing.
Yeah. Oh, there's a song. I actually like it. It's I think it's called "Under the Graveyard."
Under the Graveyard.
Yeah, and he uses mild auto tune, and it fixes his problem, with the age or with the degradation of his voice. He sounds like young Ozzy, for some parts of it. So it's pretty. It's because it's not super obvious, but you can tell it's adjusted, it's corrected a little bit somehow, but it sounds pretty good.
Probably what he used on that track he did with Post Malone.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Because I was like, whoa. At first, I didn't look at who was on the track, and you're listening, and I'm like, is this Post? When Post be able to sing like this? And then you look, you're like, Ozzy. You're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Dang, Ozzy. And then you're like, dang, Ozzy. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So, good for Ozzy. I mean, he obviously already had it. I think certain situations like that make it even more okay or more necessary to use auto-tunes so that older people can stay in the game while fighting against, old age and such. Drugs. That man needs to be studied. He needs to be in a lab somewhere when he passes. He'll probably pass after we do.
No, if, yeah.
And they need to study because I don't know how a man can take that many substances and do that many things and still be kicking and alive and all that. Yeah. That's wild.
It is
Ozzy.
nuts. Yeah, but that is a good example though of an older artist using modern technology that kind of offset some of their hurdles, I guess, vocal hurdles or whatever, and adjusting to the new techniques, the new methods, and new technologies or instruments. Because I'm pretty sure he released his album right after the Post Malone stuff. Yeah, so I'm sure he was influenced and learned a lot or met up with a different producer who could help him. Because I think about Paul McCartney's album "New," which he released right after working with Kanye and Rihanna for 4 or 5 seconds and All Day, and in that album he uses 808s. He's using he's using nothing but or not. It's not nothing but way more digital effects and editing and post production stuff than in the past, because in the past prior to that, all of his albums, you kind of notice one of the albums was just a love song cover, and a lot of it's crooner stuff.
Yeah.
So it felt like he was kind of, and a lot of other stuff from other albums, I can't remember any off the top of my head, but they're more singer-songwriter. So it seemed like he was kind of giving in to I'll just stay to my register. I'll stay at what I can pull off at the shows, and here's what I can do.
Right.
And then he meets Kanye, and they kind of collaborate. He meets new people like Theopolis London and stuff, and I'm sure he's man, it's because that's always been him. That's his characteristic as a musician, is he learns from another person who's executed it something beautifully that he doesn't
Right.
understand, and then he adopts it and tries it out too. And so like New, it's very different, and it's awesome because it's a very vibrant album. It's got a lot of variety to it, but it's just a different type of McCartney, and he's like 70, I think, at that point. Yeah.
I mean, that's why he's one of the GOATs. Oh, speaking of GOATs, how do you feel about Daft Punk breaking up?
That's crazy. So I guess they're not going to do the track to the next Tron movie.
No. No, I don't think any chance. It have to be a lot of money.
Yeah. That's crazy. Have they said any reason or any kind of explanation?
No, but I've been listening to a few music critics and a few, having a few discussions about you don't get to see that end to a musician's career before they die often. Like more times than not, like musician is in the works on some new music and then they die. But most musicians don't end their
like a false retirement,
right? Some kind of
like
Jay-Z, Michael Jackson, false retirement. That's a good way. Yeah, and then these guys, every single album they created was just gold. It was beautiful. It was original, and it was distinctly different from the previous album that they did before. And they never. With maybe the regards to Tron, but Tron was so uniquely, it was a little bit close to their not Homework album, or it might have been, what's the album that came after Discovery? I don't know if you know the discography for Daft Punk that well, but the one where Technologic was on it. It was kind of similar, but it was like, take out all the human aspect of our music, and that's what we're gonna put in Tron. But they went out their way, and they never had to make an album to make money or to sell out. And I think that is something that we as creators need to see. We need to see more creators, more football players, more athletes knowing when to call it quits before things are bad, or the music is bad, or before the quality is tarnished, or before your body gives out. I think it's good to know when to cut things off, when to end things.
Yeah, keep a healthy relationship with your craft.
Exactly.
Yeah, because they ended up being one of like the richest DJs like in the world.
I believe it.
And it's nuts how they were like the like house music like person you would think. I mean obviously out of Paris for sure, but like house DJ music like from the 90s. It was just like they were the huge wave of that. They were the face of that. And I'm trying to think like of all their collaborations. In the last years, because they did like songs with The Weeknd and Pharrell. But what's that? I feel like I'm forgetting something. I'm trying to remember something else. Didn't they do something else kind of semi-recent? I'm trying to think of like the last projects they've done, because starting in the 90s and then ending now. I'm just trying to think.
Random Access Memory is like the freshest in my mind, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just crazy because I know they talked about doing another Tron movie, and they talked about them doing the soundtrack and stuff at one point. But yeah, I don't know. I'm sure they just kind of satisfied, and who knows, maybe they'll come back separately. Who knows?
Yeah.
Never know. I recently read about how expensive their helmets are.
Really? Their helmets are expensive.
Well, they're like who knows? I don't know if this is the modern price tag, but at least the first set that they had and like what publicly used, it's like $65,000 to prototype it.
What?
And it was because, again, it was like the late or mid 90s, whatever, and they had some designer, plastic form, figure out the display or the head, the helmet, and then put the light display into it, and then with the flexible like neck thing, and then the matching gloves. Like, yeah, $65,000 for
Oh my God.
the first set. It's nuts. Because, it's like when they broke up, all those articles started coming out.
Yeah.
I bet you didn't know this.
Yeah.
Da-da-da.
5 things you didn't know about Daft Punk.
Yeah. Which I think that's probably how I found out that they were one of the most
wealthiest.
Richest. Yeah,
wealthiest. Well, like George Townsend used to tell us, it may seem goofy, but if everybody commits to the fullest, it will be and will look cool. So, I think that is definitely a testament to that. $65,000. That's amazing. Wow.
That's nuts.
Unfuckwithable. Cannot fuck with them. Wow. That's crazy.
But yeah. It's just I was kind of looking forward to, everybody was looking forward to what was next.
A new Daft Punk anything.
Well, it's like a year. It's like, this has been the last year where everyone's been stuck. And like, maybe they did something.
No.
Nope.
We didn't. Or maybe they did and they're just like, we're broken up, but we still got one more thing for you. I'm hoping that,
that's becoming expected at this point. It's like, I'm retired. Just give me a year. Surprise.
Yeah.
Here's the new album.
It's your like, what is it, like end of year bonus or something like that? Like,
well, it's like the riding that controversy wave or whatever. It's like, because I feel like Kanye is like the best example of that. And it's like, whether he's announced it or he's about to, like a month or a week from now, most of the time whenever he does something like really out there, like he goes out and publicly commits to doing an interview and he goes off and does it, like he always releases something like a month or somewhere near after that. It's like he knows how to control the media cycle,
because everybody's talking about it.
Yeah. Well, and I'm sure being in ties with Kris Jenner, she's probably a good coach about that too.
Yeah.
How to manipulate the media.
Oh yeah.
But
man. Oh yeah, and his divorce.
Oh yeah.
Jeez.
That's crazy.
Oh man.
I wonder how he'll be affected mentally after that.
They're honestly
next?
Because I know people don't like Kim Kardashian for whatever reason, but in my opinion, they're both being dragged through the mud. They are both in pain right now. Because, one thing is for sure is that when somebody has a mental obstacle that they do not want to treat or seek help for, it is very hard on the loved ones surrounding that person to live through that. So, do I think the Kardashians have a history of driving outsiders into the ground? Yes. But do I also believe that Kanye's stability within the family unit caused some instability within the lives of his loved ones around him? Also, yes. I believe both of them have truly suffered, maybe not necessarily from the marriage, but maybe from themselves as individuals, with all the spotlight and all the money, all the expectation,
the image,
and now they got kids, and
man, they pumped them out, man.
Yeah, they did.
They have so many.
Good for them.
That was quick.
Good for them.
But it is interesting how they're what's going to happen. I don't know, like with the fashion side, like I wonder, like I'm just curious. Like I'm curious what, if anything, will change creatively from both of them. Because I guess I'm more focused on Kanye, but I wonder, how, because we've seen how his mentality and his where he's at in the light of either how he sees himself or how he thinks everybody sees him. It changes how he does a project. It changes how he's gonna curate his feelings into a piece of work. So it's just like it's gotten to this point where it's like he's not a dude that I ever expect to say I'm retired, because he just keeps evolving and just it gets expressive in a new form. So anytime there's some new news about him,
you get excited.
Oh yeah, I'm just kind of curious, because like I said, I was like, is he drumming stuff up to kind of build momentum, or is this like, or is it the opposite? Has something happened to him and now it's building up this like need to express himself? Because I think there's a lot of thought that you could put into breaking down an artist in an era of hardship, of like, so think of like people like George Harrison, or like, you know, like George Harrison, when he released his first album, he I think it was right prior, before releasing his album, you had the Beatle breakup, you had his divorce, and his mom passed away. And the Beatle breakup wasn't just like, you know, your musicians breaking up. It was a big business, money, you know, awkward, you know, breakup, where it's like you literally had to determine who got a percentage of the song that you chipped in on, like you, and it was, a lot of it was just vocal agreement, you know, and just like such a weird, and crazy fucking
they're
thing.
all friends, you know, damn near family.
And it's just so weird. And then you have your immediate relationship break, and then you have your parent pass away, and they were close, and but then that's when he started working on his first album, and now he had also said on a lot of writings and songs that he had developed with the Beatles, because he had like a 2-song quota per album. And so, and sometimes he thought he did a good job, and they vetoed it. They didn't agree that it would go on. So he kept it because he thought it was good. And so once they broke up, he just doubled down and put in so much effort into that album. And it shows. I mean, All Things Must Pass is a beautiful album. It's one of my all-time favorites. It's one of my Desert Island albums.
Okay.
And I really think there's something to it, that he was in that hard period, but he, like we were saying, you know, kind of threw the ego out, didn't make it about himself, and just stayed healthy, stayed disciplined and practice. And because, you know, it's like a human wants to learn and develop and work. It's like but you want return on the work. You know, you don't want it to just be fleeting and not mean anything. And, you know, and I think when you're talking about a seasoned artist and they're going through a hard time, they've become an expert communicator, you know, after a certain period. I mean, they're already pretty good, but once they've gone through an era of success, it's like as long as you're still practiced, it's like you're still a master communicator.
Right.
And so when they go through those hard times, I mean, that's why some songs are so, it's palpable what they're emitting, these feelings and stuff. And even if it's not something that reflects what they were going through, you know, because he wrote some beautiful music, you know, beautiful love songs, you know, during that period. So it's like, it doesn't matter, but it's just that, I don't know, that decision, that self-made decision to keep pushing, you know, and to, because, you know, it's like you can become a prisoner of circumstance or a champion of circumstance. And it's like, if someone took something from you, and you're like, well, that person took that from me, so I don't feel like I can do it anymore. It's like, or this person took it from you, so now see what you can do next. Why are you stopping? You know, and it's totally up to you. But I just think there's power in that, when people can put in that dedication to themselves, and prove it, you know. And like we were talking about before, when you're talking about a master musician who can do every step of the way, every level of the composition, every bit from the pre to the post. Yeah. And there's just a different energy to it, because they're committed. Now, if they're lazy, it'll show.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And you got 1,001 of those that you don't even know about. Yeah. Obviously.
Right. Yeah. That's what YouTube's for.
Oh yeah. That's what YouTube, Twitch. Yeah. And now I don't know if you've heard of Clubhouse. Have you heard of Clubhouse?
No, what is that?
So Clubhouse is this new social media app, but right now they're only letting people in by invitation only, and only through Apple products. So I think each person that gets in gets 2 invitations to invite. And basically it is like a better, it's like a more in-depth LinkedIn, to where you're having very personal conversations in these groups that can be moderated by a single person. But anybody can come into these groups, and these groups can range from, you know, tech junkies to music fanatics to comedians talking about whatever. But basically it's just this new hottest thing of an exchange of ideas that is extremely exclusive. I know Kevin Hart's on there. I know there are a couple of other celebrities that have jumped on to Clubhouse, and it's something that they talked about at the most recent music conference that I went to. However, I have an Android, and they don't have it on Android yet. You mother does. And anyways, but you know, that's something that we have to look forward to when it comes to the cultivation of the new music scene post 2020, as well as Twitch and certain platforms that allow you to stream on multiple social media sites. We have one, and when we stream, it hits our Facebook, our Instagram, and our Twitch all at the same time. So things like that are extremely convenient, and the wave,
Yeah. Well, and I just love how easy it's getting to be self projected. That you can. I wish I could stream to all these places. Like, yeah, you can do it. Just look it up and do it. It's like you don't have to go through a producer. You don't have to go through something. You don't need the money. Because I mean, like, yeah, like YouTube, Twitch, even Reddit. It's like it's free or it's open, or some of them have little fees, but it's crazy. Like, because I mean, especially with 2020, I mean, like, streaming became a necessity if you wanted to stay in touch with your audience. And so it's just I don't know, it's a different precedent in musicianship of being able to keep up with your crowd through that, and you having to know how to do it. It's like, now it's, if you never thought you need to do that, well, here we go. What we said before, you've been shook up, you've been checked. Yep. You don't have that skill. You better acquire that skill.
Now you're a manager and your agent and your marketing, your chief marketing officer and all that, all into one artist. And you better get in there and record too.
Yeah.
And tell people you're recording and record yourself recording. Oh gosh, so much. Yeah. So much. I don't think the idea of a record label will ever die out per se, but I definitely know that it is getting some competition from regular average folk.
Yeah, big time. Well, especially now that you have Grammy-winning people like Chance the Rapper, and I mean all sorts of people that have been self-produced or done a lot of their own work. They've proven that it's like you can do it, and even if it's not the end all say all of what you like, the pinnacle of your success. It's like that's your first swing at it, but it's like you put in that dedication. You've proved that you're not level one, at least, and you're working your way up. You're networking. You're showing off. It's like you're not. It's like if you're a baseball player, it's like you just hit the ball and ran the bases. Like, you're sad you didn't hit a home run. I'm sitting here like, wow, you connected and you actually hit that pitch. It's like it's like you actually did something.
Right.
I just think that's it's a weird mindset or a weird thing that I think we all go through, where it's not that the memory is fleeting or anything. It's just you're so focused on the future that you kind of forgot that you've come a pretty good little way, and then you just got to be kind of careful how you stretch it out, how you extrapolate it, and really realize how you're going to end up. Because it's like, oh man, it's been 2 years and I've only been able to play here and I can't finish this. It's like, yeah, but it's like you've played here, you've done something. It's like, and if anything, just learn from what worked and just keep pushing.
Just keep pushing.
Yeah, and I mean, especially with this show, like my last episode that I did with Kevin Davis, we reviewed Dawes, and it was the week of, me and him had kind of decided how we were going to talk about it and whatever. But then he randomly asked me, he's like, oh man, he's like, we wouldn't be able to use our music in the show, would we? I was like, no. I was like, because I don't have permission. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to reach out to their legal team and their marketing team. And I sent them a message, and they got back to me immediately saying like, oh yeah, you can use a small clip this wide from any of these 4 albums, whatever.
That's awesome.
I was like, man, all I had to do was freaking just do it. Out. Yeah. And just like now I'm a salesperson. So I think I'm an outside salesperson too. Okay. So most of the stuff I get, it's not just handed to me. I have to convince them to work with us.
Cold calls and such.
And site visits and stuff. And so I'm kind of used to throwing that part of my brain, just throwing it into the trash can, just being like, don't be afraid of rejection. It's like the worst they're going to be like, oh, okay, no. Like, all right, have a great day.
Yeah.
And then it's like, just eat it and move on.
Yeah.
And and with this, it's like, it's probably just going to be a lot of cold rejection of just like, it's never got back to me. Okay, here's what it is. Maybe I'll try it again. And then you can actually see that I'm serious. You're like, oh, that's a small show. It's like, I'm not even going to respond to them. I'm like, well, if I keep messaging, it's like, you just never know.
Right.
You just never know.
You never know unless you dive out there.
Yeah. Until you give up, then you'll know.
Oh, yeah. You'll know something.
Yeah.
We won't have a career anymore.
But yeah, man, this year's going to be crazy.
Oh, it's the craziest.
I have high expectations.
There's never been a year like this. And never, man. Oh, so happy to be alive during this time.
Yeah.
We're so lucky.
I'm so glad to be out of it, or to see the end. Because man, it's like watching a flower bloom. It's like feeling what did I say the other day? It's like feeling the sun, like on my face after you've been underground.
Oh man, yeah.
And it's like, oh, yes, let's do these things.
Here
let's
comes
plan
the
this.
sun.
Yes.
Do-do-do-do.
Here it all comes. It's just it's so great. It's like be able to plan stuff, look forward to events. Just I don't know.
I'm looking to quit my job and just be doing music full time now that I can again.
Yeah, man.
That's what I'm looking towards.
Yeah, and that's what I mean, man. It's like that people can pick up on that trajectory again of where they were, and ride the wave of the successes that we carved out. Those lanes that each of us in our own craft or career had really put effort into, and figure out what's next. But yeah, I feel like that's what this year's for. Last year was you think about it.
Yeah, think about it real hard.
You better do a good job at thinking, because
what you want in life.
Yeah, and then, and this is the year.
Yeah.
So if you haven't decided what to do this year, you better decide, because
you better figure it out.
I'm putting it out there, man.
You ain't got another one to sit back on. Life is moving again.
Yeah. Well, and I also feel like there's that communal kind of vibe or energy to when it's like, oh, you're talking about a project, man, I got this going. And it's like, and so is he, man. I just talked to him, he's doing it too. I can't stop.
Yeah, because
I don't want to be the person to not show up with something.
Right. The only person at the table ain't got nothing new.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, still doing the same. Nothing wrong with doing the same songs you did like 2-3 years ago, but only doing the same songs that you did 2-3 years ago and having nothing new to the table. It's like, oh, what'd you do in 2020? Netflix, Disney Plus, and Hulu,
Yeah.
all at the same time. Yeah.
But yeah, man, we'll see. But we'll keep the show going, and then we'll keep an eye out for your next show, man. I want to go.
Please, I will. The next big show, I definitely want to have you both come out.
Yeah.
I don't want y'all to have to pay for anything. I'll make sure you guys get t-shirts, whatever kind of merch we get. I will make sure that you guys are good to go.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I'd love to go.
Absolutely.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Well, man, anything else?
Artemis Funk's doing a show April 30th at UT Arlington, open to the public, and it is a live show. It's not a live stream. So if you feel uncomfortable, please bring your masks and your hand sanitizers. If you feel comfortable, still bring your masks and your hand sanitizers, and just have a good time. And that's it. That's all I got.
You heard it here, folks. Well, that's it.
Thank you, Sam.
Yeah. Till next time, man.
Till next time.
All right. Thank you for listening. For more episodes, visit our website, musicmythpodcast.com, and follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Goodbye.